Oh yeah, I just got my 15th celibacy. Wait a minute, was I supposed to be doing something? Made a promise on Facebook. Oh shit! Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Zootopia a couple of days ago. Sorry, things have been gotten a little busy. I made a promise that the review would be out 2 days ago, and yeah, that never happened. So here it is for you. So for the non-spoiler version, my final verdict is going to be a must-see on this one. This was a staple of animation that just blew my fucking mind. Not necessarily because the animation itself was just mind-blowing, although there are some sweeping shots of Zootopia that are just beautiful. Seriously, the best scene in this movie is when Judy Hopps is actually entering the city and you just get to see Zootopia. Much like Jurassic World, seeing the actual park slash world or town that this is in is just a sight to behold. But no, the really big thing that makes it a must see is its content. This is one of the best written films I have seen in a long time, which is just mind blowing for me because I went and stayed for the credits. There were 7 people who did the story for this and 2 different screenwriters. Usually that just means that this is going to be a mess. I mean, The Good Dinosaur didn't even have that many writers and story artists on it. Yet, that one was more jumbled together than this was? I guess that's the difference between Pixar and Disney Studios. And yes, this is the same studio that brought us Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, and even Big Hero 6. And they lived up to their potential, and they did not disappoint, because this movie is a marvel. At its core, it's a buddy cop movie, so it's kind of formulaic, although it does have a really solid mystery with it that is really surprising. I didn't know where it was going until about the last 40 minutes or so. I kind of guessed it after that as to who did what, where, why, and how, because, well, the movie wasn't over yet. Which you could probably say is a bad thing, but that's still an hour or 20 minutes of me thoroughly engaged and not really knowing where this is going to go. And yes, we should probably talk about what everybody has talked about, which is the subject matter. How subtly this movie goes into detail about things of stereotypes, gender stereotypes specifically, racism, drugs. Yeah, it's not very many kids' films that can work in Breaking Bad references. I'm not even kidding you. And personally, I do feel that it's being a little overanalyzed, but that's a good thing. This movie is getting people to think. It's actually getting some conversations started. It's getting a lot of people into subject matter that we should probably address at this point. But it's doing it subtly and clever enough that it's not beating you over the head with it. Other films that try to do this tend to have analogs for people in the real world. Take for an easy smack on the dab example, Avatar. The Na'vi are clearly Native Americans, and everybody else are the evil settlers who created America. Yeah, it's not subtle. It beats you over the head with it. And frankly speaking, that movie can go to fucking hell. I don't care what people say. The only good thing about Avatar was its CG work. But unlike something like that, the stereotypes that are built in Zootopia really are more about, well, the stereotypes of animals. What do we think about rabbits? Oh, they're cute. We can't say that unless you're an actual rabbit, though. Because it's okay when a rabbit says it to another rabbit, but when someone else says it to a rabbit, The foxes are the sly con men. And the main character, Fox, Nick Wilde, has a reason for acting like that, which is very legitimate and does show how these stereotypes can affect and essentially ruin people's lives. Doing this so subtly and so cleverly just makes the movie experience so much better. as I said, I do feel it's being a little overanalyzed at the moment, but you know what? If it gets people talking about it so we can fix the problems that we already have in our own society with our own stereotypes and racisms, I guess that I can get over it. Now that's it for my non-spoiler version. I'd actually recommend that you close the video now because this spoiler section is going to be kind of short. I don't really want to talk about too many things inside this film, but there were some things that did kind of bug me. Now, there were some things inside of this film that weren't necessarily the best they could be, and they do need to be addressed, and I do feel that too many people are kind of ignoring the bad things because of how good and amazing everything else is, which is perfectly fine. I'm not saying any of these problems that I have with it are going to break the movie for you. I'm just saying that they should probably be addressed. For one, this is essentially a buddy cop movie, and there are a lot of cliche characters that are kind of getting swept under the rug amidst everything else, like the angry chief. Seriously, the angry commissioner is in this movie. He does have a few funny lines and does even contribute things at the end. It's just, we've seen this so many times before. It's like watching Last Action Hero and literally having steam come out of the ears again. Seriously. Also, some people that were in the film were criminally underused. Case in point, J.K. Simmons as the Mayor Lionheart. Guess what? He's a lion. Get it? He has all of 3-4 scenes in the movie, and most of them are only 2, maybe 3 lines long. I mean, you got J.K. Simmons to do this. Give him some more of a role here. Show some more press releases of him trying to defend his actions rather than that stupid one-off line that we get at the very end of the movie. And no, that's not to say that he's the bad guy. Or is he? I'm not saying that. Crap, did I spoil something? But all in all, what he's saying is actually really funny, and I would have loved more interaction between him and Nathan Bates' Nick Wilde, because frankly, you got 2 of the best comedic actors out there. Some of the most entertaining ones that are working right now, and you don't put them in a room together? This is like having peanut butter and jelly and thinking, nah, they don't go together. It's not really a bad thing. I've seen movies do a hell of a lot worse, like Terminator Genesis. But I'm just saying, I would have liked a little bit more. That's all. And that's probably my biggest problem with it, is that it left me wanting so much more. I felt that it underdelivered in some sections. Now, leaving me wanting more is not a bad thing, but this is not a movie that's ever going to get a sequel. And if it does, I seriously be very hesitant to recommend it, because this was a self-contained story. The problems were basically solved by the end. Not to say that stereotypes and racisms don't exist and are magically gone, poof, magic, oh. No. What I'm saying is that the mystery is solved. Everybody's happy, basically, and the problems are being addressed. So, where's the room for the sequel? The answer, there isn't any, and that's fine. I don't want a sequel to every single movie that comes out. If it's a good standalone film, it's going to be a good standalone film. But there were just things about it that I wanted a little bit more knowledge about. Some of the inner workings in Zootopia. I wanted a little bit more interaction between some of these characters. Hell, the chief and the mayor are never in the same room together. Now, someone's going to correct me with the whole sheep thing, but yeah, you know which mayor I'm talking about. But all in all, this movie was hilarious. It was fun, and the dramatic moments had a lot of weight. So much so that does kind of bring to another problem. This movie wasn't actually made for kids, even though it's considered a kid's film. Which, again, is a stereotype, and I'm not trying to feed that. I'm just saying this is meant more for about 13-year-olds and up. People who can think, who can see the themes. This isn't like something like Inside Out where the kids can have just as much enjoyment of it as the adults. But I can honestly say that older kids who are going to start to understand all this are going to enjoy the hell out of this movie. This movie was made for more of the mature audience. And yes, I did say that about a kid's film. Mature. This was a very well-written story with connections to real-life events and things going on right now. And frankly speaking, it's not for the kid who's just looking to be entertained. If you're going to take your kid to this thinking that they're going to love it as much as, say, they do Minions, which is just kid pandering at its worst, sorry, but this is not the film for you. If your kid is like 8 to 10 years old and is starting to actually dive into this stuff, they're going to love it. Anything younger, they're going to say it was pretty and they like the animals and the colors, but that's it. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but I could see that turning off some people from taking their kids to this film, which is a big shame because this gets a must-see recommendation from me. And it is just mind-blowing how well-received this film has been. The comedy is fast-paced, and yeah, it can get silly, but it can also be very, very serious. It's not very many kids' films that I see where the characters can get hurt. And what do I mean by that? Well, more often than not in kids' films, we get to see them like thrown around or hit or, slashed with a sword, but at most you see just maybe some dust on them and maybe a darker spot. No, when people get hurt inside this film, they actually get hurt. There's a scene where Judy gets slashed in the face and there's actually some marks that took off fur and have some skin showing. She's not bleeding, but that's a hell of a lot more than you'll see in a lot of films these days, especially kids' films. Hell, I know PG-13 films that don't even want to show that much blood. Most of them are from Marvel Studios. Yes, we can have films where people are thrown into jet engines or have their heads popped off, but we can't show an ounce of blood, or else we'll get that R rating. And that kind of leads into the dramatic moments, because when it gets dramatic, it does get dramatic, and there are no jokes. There's no fun times. There's actual serious consequences, which is great for me. For kids, not as much. And really, there is nothing else to say about this film, but go see it. It's a must-see. You're going to enjoy every second of it. Bring your kids to it when they're probably a little bit older and they can start to understand things and actually ask questions. But, yeah, this is one of those films that everybody should see. And that's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Have you seen Zootopia? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below. Maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going. And as always, if you liked what you see, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll have some more of my videos annotated right around here, including my top 10 best and worst list from last year. I am still working on the top 10 disappointing and surprising list. I have been sick, in the hospital. Give me some slack. I'm also in school. I have a lot of work on my plate. Be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitch and Twitter, and that's it for me, so I'll see you all next time.